Hello, this will be a quick video showing some of the tools that we can use when developing inside of Ruby. Tools we're going to be looking at today, there's one called IRB and there's one called Pry. IRB stands for Interactive Ruby. You can type IRB into a command prompt in terminal and you will start IRB up if you have Ruby installed. You'll get this command prompt. If you don't, then you don't have Ruby installed. You have to install Ruby. And I have that in another video. Once you're in IRB, you can begin to create and run scripts that IRB will interpret and run for you. You can define any kind of structure that you can define in Ruby. You can define in this session as well. And any kind of functionality or anything else you can do in here too. So yeah, that's IRB. Very useful for trying out code, testing out code, making sure what you're going to do is going to run. Pry oops, sorry. Got to exit out of it. And exit will exit out of that. That is your command to exit those interpreters. Pry, you will have the same thing. So you can have this. And also perform operations on them. Same way we were just doing a second ago. Again, very, very useful for debugging and such like that. What makes Pry so powerful, though, is that it can spin up an IRB session inside of Ruby code, actually inside the script while it's running. And it does that with this word right here, this binding.pry. With this breakpoint in here, what will happen when you run this script? It will run, evaluate everything up to this point, and then it will stop at this point. And then in our command prompt, we'll actually open a Pry session or an IRB session right inside that breakpoint. And then we'll be able to execute code just as we would how it's going to run the script. So this is very, very useful. You could put breakpoints inside of here, wherever your final assertion is, and actually test out your assertion. So we can go in here on the breakpoint. Just if it runs inside the command prompt here, we copy paste it right over here, and then we're done, and we'll know that code's going to run just fine. So very, very useful for tasks like that. Let's go ahead and see how it works and some other things we can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and run the test that code is part of, and you'll see it stop. There we go, stopped right there. So this is already defined, this app postman client, and so we can actually call that object and see attributes on that object. We can instance a new postman client just like that object is if we want to, and we'll have another one. We have some other commands that we can check functionality on objects or attributes on objects, and that is the ls command. If we simply hit ls with nothing in it, it gives us local scope objects and functionality available to us. And so since we have rspec, we have some rspec methods available to us. We have cucumber here, active support, which does our JSON encoder methods, things like that. And we see the actual methods in there. And if we want to, we can even cd into them. Yeah. Yeah, if we want to, and you can just cd into rspec, and you could actually go down a little farther if you want to, and you can actually start exploring the methods that are on methods. This is just a surface too. Pry will also show documentation where it has it on core Ruby values. core Ruby methods and functionality. So very useful for that too. I tend to just use, look up the docs on Google or what have you, but that's available for you too if you'd like. But yeah, it's very useful for that. The ls command is incredibly useful. Let's say we had this instance variable like this here, and we didn't know what it did. We could do ls and then at Postman client. Then it'll give us a list, and it'll also very importantly show us which classes and objects is inheriting from, which is also very important for figuring out how things work. And then a list of instance variables too. So yes, probably incredibly useful for that. And just like I was talking about, we can even go ahead and demonstrate how it would work if we tested out an expectation. So I'll go ahead and exit out of this one and rerun this. So if we were developing this automation and we were experimenting with some values and stuff like that, you can also run this out here and it'll come back true if your expectation worked. And if it works inside here, you could just take this and copy it and put it back. So very useful for doing that as well. So yeah, short lesson on Pry. Through the rest of my videos, you'll see me use Pry quite a lot to debug things. And yeah, it's a very useful tool. Have fun with it.